Thank you, mate, for that amazing introduction. So yes, I am Adam. I'm back. I'm now living here. Some of you I've met before. Some of you I know well. Some of you I've just met this morning. And some of you I haven't got a chance to speak to just yet. But I know what you're all thinking. How can such a charming, funny, well-dressed, with a beautiful wife and looks like a supermodel, how can he possibly have a testimony to share? Well, I have. I'm going to share it with you this morning. So, I grew up in Quinton, which is part of Birmingham. It's quite a nice side of Birmingham, the nicer side, the south side. I've got amazing parents, amazing family. They did a great job of bringing us up. Went to school. I didn't exactly set the academic world on fire. My exam results after my GCSE spelt the word deaf, D-E-F-F-F-F-F. So I was never going to do anything amazing academically. And then I left school, and in our last year of school, into my first year of college, the direction my life was going to take presented itself, and I started smoking cannabis in my last year of school. Cannabis was something that was just everybody did. It's even more prevalent now, but it was something that everybody did. Everybody smoked it, so it was just normal. It was natural that you would be smoking it. So I started smoking it, and I was still smoking cannabis 20 years later, every day, fully addicted to it. But alongside that, as we got a little bit older, we got into 18, 19, we started going out to clubs, and then we started going to like raves, illegal raves, hardcore raves, and I don't know how many of you have been to a rave, but if you're going to go to a rave and you're going to dance all night, you need a bit of something to pick me up. So we started using speed, we started using amphetamines, anything you could get your hands on really, and that progressed through the couple of years to ecstasy and taking ecstasy tablets, and it got to the point where I was taking 6, 7, 8, 9 tablets a night, going to raves. Don't sleep for days after you've took that many ecstasy tablets. So progressed a little further, and as we got a little older, probably into our early 20s, we started to mix with a group of slightly older lads, and their drug of choice was cocaine. So very, very easy transition. There's no barriers. There's nothing left to say, I'm not going to try cocaine. That's stupid. Why would I try that? Once you've tried and you've gone on that journey, you've gone through that series of steps, there's no barriers. You're just going to try it because it's there, it's offered. So I did. And I started sniffing coke, and that pretty much stayed with me for maybe 4 years. And by the end of it, I couldn't go out on a Wednesday night for a beer with my mates without spending 120 quid, 80 quid on 3 grams of coke. That was like the norm. So to go shopping, to go to the shopping centre by us, Merry Hill, I would have to have a sniff. To go to work, I would have to have a sniff. And so that stayed with me for about 3 or 4 years. But slightly older, so into mid-20s now, I met another group of friends, and their drug of choice was crack cocaine, so crack. So again, all my barriers were down. There was nothing stopping me saying, I'm not going to try that. So I very easily just slipped into smoking crack. And crack is a drug. I don't know how many of you know, but crack is a drug. You will spend everything you have got on it. It doesn't matter if it's your mortgage, if it's your child's birthday present money, if it's the only £50 you've got left in the world, you will spend everything on crack. So I did that. That stayed with me for about 2 years. But one of the things with crack is, if you smoke crack all night, there is no way on earth that you are going to be able to get to sleep. I carried on working through all of this. I never, ever, to my knowledge, missed many days off work. I always made sure I was there. I always made sure I was, chirpy. That often meant taking more drugs. Never missed a day of work. But once you've been smoking crack all night, you are not going to get to sleep, sometimes for days. And the only thing that will help you sleep is by using heroin. So, group of friends I was in at that time, it was just prevalent, it was everywhere. It was just so easy to get your hands on it. And a lot of you think, why would you even try it? Why would you even try it? But if you've not been to sleep for 2 days and somebody's telling you, I can help you sleep, believe me, you'll try it. So started using heroin, and that was the one that tore my entire life apart. I lost absolutely everything. I lost my house. I lost my relationship with my daughter. My partner kicked me out. I lost the respect of every single person I had ever known in my entire life. Even to this day, very few of the people who I knew then will even let me in their house. Very few of them will talk to me. They won't answer a text message from me. It stole absolutely everything from me. But something I had all the way through my addictions, all the way through everything, was a praying mother. She never, ever, ever stopped praying for me. She knew God, and she was a strong, strong lady of faith. So I got to the point with my addiction where it was so out of control. I was spending 60, 80, £100 a day was my normal. That was just my normal day. So you imagine trying to find 60 to 100 euros a day, as well as eat, as well as pay your rent, as well as do everything. And that was the position I found my life in. So my partner, she kicked me out the house. She just couldn't control me anymore, couldn't put up with me. I was sending the mortgage money, I was spending the money to pay for the cars. So she kicked me out the house. Went back to mum and dad's, and that was the real low point for me. So I was at the point where I was desperate. I got sacked from work on March the 13th. March the 13th, March 2013. I'd worked there for 10 years. I worked in an art gallery. I used to go all over the country, UK, hanging artwork in rich people's houses. But if I could steal anything from those houses, anything, jewellery, money, iPads, electrical stuff, I did not care who you were. And if I thought I was going to get into trouble, I did not care. I would just steal it without even thinking about it. This transpired into my family home as well. So got to the point in early 2013 where my mum used to have to go to work with the lawnmower and the hoover in the boot of her car because I would steal it and take it down cash converters and get 20 quid for it. She would then pay to get it back out of cash converters, and 2 days later I would steal it again and take it back down. There was a time in 2013 where there was a massive chain around my mum and dad's shed, so I couldn't get into it. I started to do okay. I got onto what was called a replacement drug. It's called Subutex, so that's a replacement for heroin. So what Subutex does, it gives you your life back. You've no longer got to go and get the money to find your drugs. You've not got to go and try and score off people, and they're saying they're going to come, and they don't come. You're just in chaos when you're addicted to heroin. So it gives you your life back. And it was working okay, and then I had a bit of a wobble. And I met some friends and started smoking it with them. And I'd found out that my mom had been given money. She'd been blessed. She was going to go to Israel. People had been blessing her. People had given her birthday money. People had been giving her dollars and all sorts of currencies and stuff. And I found out that she had it. And I found out where she'd hidden it. And I stole every single penny of it, nearly £800, without even batting an eyelid, without even thinking about it. No sense of guilt. I don't care. I've got my fix. Why would I care? And I went from my mum and dad's house. There's a shop at the top of the road. And as I was walking down the road, there's a big grass verge outside mum and dad's house. And I was walking down the verge, and I saw mum come out the house. And she went onto the grass. And she fell onto her knees in front of me. And she said, "Adam, why have you done this to me? Don't you love me? Please, please, please stop." And I didn't. I carried on stealing from them. But my dad didn't want me to come back into the house at that point. But my mum was on her knees. At that moment, she heard God say to her, "Jane, let Adam back into your house. I'm going to do an incredible work in his life." So I went back into mum and dad's. Because I just had nothing to do, I had nowhere to go. My sleep pattern was just destroyed. I didn't sleep. I didn't, just any time I slept. So she used to record an evangelist. His name's Todd Bentley. He's gone on to do some weird and wonderful stuff now. But at the time, he had a very similar testimony to mine. He was addicted to heroin. So Mum said to me, if you're going to sit up all night, just watch this. If you feel like it, just watch this. So I watched him, and, actually, yeah, some of the stuff he said made sense. So one night, really, really weird and random thing to do, but he said, what I want you to do, he says, I want you to pretend that there's a cup of the Holy Spirit, a full cup in front of you, and I want you to down it. So I did it really weirdly, I don't know God. Who's this God? It's my mum's God. It's nothing to do with me. I did it. Nothing happened. There was no miracles. There was no flash from heaven. There was no visitation from angels. Nothing like that. Until about a week later, and because I had nowhere to go, I had no job, I had nothing to do, I just walked around for days, hours every day. And then one day, on the 29th of July, 2013, I went and sat in a cemetery, a ginormous, massive cemetery by my mum and dad's house in Quinton. And I had two things happen. The first one was a guy who I used to drive for, so not so much selling drugs, but just delivering them for people. He rung me up and he said, Volvo, that was my street name, Volvo, do you want to come and drive for me? And I stopped and thought about it for a second, and I thought, if I get back on it, I'll be working for him. I've got my fix, I get earning money, I can afford my habit. Shall I get back on it? And I said to him, I'm doing okay at the moment, mate. Let me just have a think about it. So I put the phone down with him, to him, sorry. And within a minute, I was suddenly aware of not like a person, but like a torso, like a brown outline standing next to me. And I heard a voice as clear as I'm talking to you now. And it said, Adam, you know who I am. Seek me with your heart and not with your eyes. And I had this incredible image in front of me of a solid lump of stone, and it just twisted and broke in half, and there was a brand new red beating heart. And I didn't know what to do, so I ended up at one of my mum's friend's house and ended up giving my life to Jesus in my mum's friend's house. But this is the real testimony, because what God doesn't do is meet you in a cemetery and you never hear from him again. So I had no GCSEs, I had no experience, I had nothing. I had nobody else left in the world that respected me, apart from my mum and dad at that time. And one day I went to a Christian conference, a fire conference that used to be in Birmingham, and I was standing, and second time I've ever heard an audible voice from God. He said to me, see the man playing the guitar there? I want you to go and talk to him after this finishes. You're going to be a youth worker. And I was like, God, you've got it wrong, man. You don't know my past, How on earth am I even going to be allowed in a classroom with children, let alone be able to work with them? But God made a way. Doors that were closed, qualifications that I needed that were overlooked, because from the beginning of time, God's plan for my life was to work with those children. It was to bring hope and joy into their lives. And that day in the cemetery, that's what he did in my life. And he gave me a hope and a future. I just want to give thanks for that. Amen. Amen.